The secret behind string Asian map. Maps are supposed to be simple. They tell you where things are, but throughout history, a handful of maps has done something far stranger. They are so costly that supposedly has been discovered that disparate land that some Augusta have been known about at all, and been drawn with a level of accuracy that has left modern cartographers and historians genuinely bothered about how their creator could have possibly known that they knew some of their map has been used to fuel theories about ancient advanced civilization and pre-Columbian voyage. Authors have turned out to be brilliant forthright that footage expert for decades and few remain even after Eastern modern science understandably under pressure. Today we are unrolling 10 5 of history spread of moderate Asian map and reaching into the real story and the real science behind each one. 1. Piri Reis Map. We begin with perhaps the most famous of most controversial map in this style, the Piri Reis Map, created in 1513 by Ottoman admiral and cartographer Piri Reis. The map was recovered in 1929 in the archive Topkapi Palace in Istanbul. The raw on gazebo skin parchment it depicts the western coast of Africa, the eastern coast of South America, and the most controversially was many researchers had has a colline resembling the northern edge of Antarctica, the continent that, according to conventional history, was officially discovered to European explorers until 1820, over 300 years after the map was created. These details sparked enormous public fascination. Starting in the 1960, after college professor named Charles Hapwood published a book arguing the map apparent difference of an ivory Atlantic coastline, suggested it may have been based on ancient soil map recreated by a lot highly and advanced civilization with sophisticated seafaring and sovereign capability. Long before recorded history, his theory when selection tradition in popular culture, appearing in numerous documentations and books over the following decade. However, Piri Reis himself actually left behind detailed notes directly on the map, explaining exactly how he created it. According to his own admission, he completed the map using roughly 20 different style maps and charts, including some that the claimant were based on map user Christopher Columbus himself, along with other Arabic, Portuguese, and Ptolemaic era Greek geographic sources available to Ottoman cartographers at the time. Mainstream historians and cartographers have offered a far less dramatic but well-supported explanation for the diffuse aesthetic coastline. They again is most likely a somewhat distal and innocuous descent of the South American colony cubing. It was a common type of cartographic error in this era when mapmakers were working from limited second-hand exploration report and often has to go assume unflooded coastline contour beyond what had actually been charted. This is the mainstream explanation being fairly well accepted among professional historians and cartographers today. The Piri Reis Map remains one of the most widely spread and buried part of the oldest history in popular culture, continuing the few documentary books and hidden online debate more than 500 years after Piri Reis first derived to the Vinland Map. Our next map tells a genuinely fascinating story of the visionary deception and one of the most embarrassing episodes in history of modern cartographic scholarship. The Vinland Map first surfaced publicly in 1957 when read a book dealer offered it for sale, and it was proved and later donated to Yale University in 1965. The map asked to depict a rough outline of the landmass village in Vinlanda Insula or Island of Vinland, poised in the North Atlantic in the location roughly corresponding to parts of Eastern North America, if Central, and it is truly direct to the time Pipoy claimed roughly the 1440. The map would have represented apparent physical avoid that European possessed geographic new line of the North America decade before Christopher Columbus. The famous 1492 voyage directly supporting Istic North saga depicting earlier Viking age to land J had called Vinland. Jali the inauguration of the map in 1965 caused an immediate sensation in the historical and cartographic community, and the map because the subject of really scholarly debate of decade with very round of scientific testing over following 60 years. Repeatedly producing generally conflicting research, keeping the question frustratingly when unresolved for an unusually long time. So debates were finally decided in 2021 when Yale University itself announced the recent the following 60-year recap products keep in the question for answering a long time. The debate was finally clarified in 2021 when Yale University itself announced the result of advanced chemical analysis connection conducted on the map. The ink research definitively confirmed that the ink contained a synthetic pigment called titanium dioxide in a specific crystalline form that was not called manufactured until the 1920. Consequently, proving the map could not possibly be the general 15th century document and was in the 20th century forgery create an age to the design collector and scholar. Interestingly, this scientific conclusion doesn't actually shock the broader historical reality that New Viking when did reach North America century before Columbus. That fact is independently well supported by the solid archaeology. The confirmed nurse settlement remained excavated on aliens out middle in the Newfoundland, Canada. The Vinland Map was needed pro-Viking reached America. It turned out to be elaborate and until mainly ancestry fake layered on top of a genius piece of history. 3. The Waldseemüller Map, sometimes nicknamed America the birthplace of the Waldseemüller Map, holds a generally inquired place in cartographic history. Is very first known map to use a word America to label the newly explored landmass across the Atlantic created in 1507 by German cartographer Martin Waldseemüller. The map was a massive defined world map notable for depicting the Americas as an endlessly shipwrecked continent from Asia, connected by open water on both sides. The generally bold and remarkably present cartographic reason for its time made years before European explorer has actually confirmed the Pacific Ocean along the full western coastline of the Americas. Waldseemüller named the new continent America specifically in honor of the Italian explorer and navigator Amerigo Vespucci, who put account of his voyage had convinced Waldseemüller somewhat controversially even at the time that dispute greater than the more famous Christopher Columbus. This primary credit for recognizing that Zealand generally presents an entirely new continent, separate from Asia rather than merely being an allowing part of the already known Asian landmass. Quick is what Columbus himself continued the beeline until he that the specific naming decision has remained a point of historical debate and controversy for centuries, given that Columbus the early voyage far more widely remembered and celebrated today. Interestingly, Waldseemüller himself appeared to have had some second thought about naming decisions in a later map he produced in 1530, developed the name America entirely by then. However, the name had already begun recording rapidly among the European mapmakers, who continue using it, cementing it permanently into everyday and historical use. Only a single print copy of the original 1507 Waldseemüller Map is known to exist today. It was rediscovered in 1901 in German Castle and United States Library of Correct Unity pulls the map in the 2003 for $10 million. At the time, the highest price ever paid for the single historical map, formally recognizing its extraordinary significance as the very first document to put name America on the stage. For Hereford Mappa Mundi, created around the year 1300 and housed today in Hereford in England. The Hereford Mappa Mundi is the largest known medieval woodmap still in existence and is operated on principles that can feel generally straight to modern eye, trained on pride and actually skate geography rather than functioning as a practical native tool. The Hereford Mappa Mundi was designed primarily with a theological and educational object, a visual encyclopedia of the medieval Christian worldview, blending real geographic knowledge with biblical history, classical mythology, and fantastical imaginative believed to inhabit distant unexplored regions of the world. The map is the origin which is greater than North Boston at the top, reflecting to the direction of the biblical Garden of Eden. With medieval mapmaker typically placed at the very top of their world map, direction shift prominently at the extra geographic center of the map. Reflect is a central gesture important in the medieval Christian theology rather than any general claim about its geographic centrality on Earth. Created across the map's more remote and poorly understood regions are vivid depiction of legendary literature and people directly from classical and medieval travel literature, including Cyclops and Ray of people supposedly possessing scientific enough to use as soon umbrella doghead made no archaeological and visual author fantastical being believed to inhabit the future. This is the X of the New World. Despite the map clearly fantastical and reliably symbolic element, it also generally incorporates a surprising amount of real unspoken geographic and historical nuclei in my Europa at the time, including regions like architecture division of Mediterranean coastline and major city, along with historical annotation referencing real events like Alexander the Great military campaign. The Hereford Mappa Mundi offer modern historian and fascinating window into how medieval Europeans discover the road ahead lie between geography and relics of my theological belief for them, and the architectural map of the world reasoned by its goal the creation in the full completo theological context mythical creature building history its own. 5. The Babylonian map on the world. Now we travel much further back in time to what widely considers the original map of the world. Isn't the Babylonian map of the world, sometimes referred to by its original name Mappa Mundi. This remake compile ancient artifact is a small clay table dating to somewhere around the 6th century BC, discovered in the running of the ancient city of Sipa is modern day Iraq. Despite its small size, the table itself is only a few inches across. It presents an time ancient Babylonian conception of the New World. Now a New World is directed into clay using cuneiform script and writing system used throughout ancient Mesopotamia. The map depicts Babylon itself positioned as the very center of the world, with the Hereford River flowing direct through it, surrounded by a roundly square landmass representing the extent of the Babylonian world itself, escaped by a ring labeled as Bitter River, while believed to represent a mythological cosmic ocean through to surround the entire habitable world. Beyond this central ring, the tablet depicts several horizons labeled in the cuneiform as deep distant mythological land, described using then newly strict azimuth mythological language. Reason where, according to the accompanying cuneiform text, mythical beasts are tried to run and where the sun itself is fascinated, reading no properly with a lightly reflecting ancient Babylonian idea, belied or second-hand travels report about who had clear understood age of the Norwood. Unlike the lake, more geographically explained map on this list, the Babylonian map of the world was primarily created as a practical navigation tool. Is still most historians rely in foundation as the chronological and document mean to visual represent Babylon, the central place within the broader Babylonian understanding of the entire universe, blending a new practical geographic canoe of the immediate surrounding region with deeper mythological and cosmic belief about the nature and structure of the wide world. As the audit, no world map yet discovered, this small clay tablet offer modern historian array and generally invaluable direct window into how one of history of realized major civilization quite literally saw their place in the world and in the universe.